Ever since we've all recently started becoming adults, the job market just all of a sudden feels impossible now. And over the past few years, headlines like these have almost become impossible to ignore. And for many young workers, finding a job nowadays has started to feel less like a career search and more like a lottery in a quite literal sense. Which brings me to the first major problem: competition. This is the reason why you never get to the interview stage.
Have you ever been turned off by the amount of applicants that have applied to a job? You can see this on LinkedIn. This job has over 100 applicants. So does this one. So does this one, and many more.
Years ago, for the average person, applying to jobs actually took effort. Today, it's a click of a button. Someone can just casually finish applying to 50 different jobs before finishing their breakfast. Now, that's great for applicants back then, but it's terrible for someone else's odds today. Nowadays, whenever employers receive hundreds, if not thousands, of different applications from all around the world, the problem is that because there are so many different applications, most resumes never get seen by a human. Because chances are, before your resume makes it to the employer, an algorithm had already rejected it. More specifically, I'm talking about AI and how it's changed the whole job application game. And to make matters worse, AI isn't just rejecting your resumes, it is also reducing some of your entry-level work. The truth is that nowadays, AI is becoming more and more advanced every single day. And because of that, companies can now operate with less people and less resources in general. And when fewer beginner positions exist, competition gets even worse.
Job type, internship, required experience, 3 years of video production, editing, and videography. Translation, looking for a qualified professional to not pay.
This is probably the most hated thing in the job market right now. Entry-level jobs aren't simply entry-level anymore. When you're applying for those positions nowadays, companies now want internships, projects, certifications, referrals, letter of recommendation, a bachelor degree, a master degree, a PhD degree, 2+ years of volunteering, 1 year of research, and worst of all, prior experience. And yet, somehow, they still call it entry level. The result? Well, graduates nowadays are stuck in a loop. After you graduate nowadays, apparently you need prior experience in order to actually get hired in the first place. However, you first need to get a job in that field in order to get experience. But how are you going to do that when you don't have experience in the first place? So the whole thing is just a big loop. And that leaves us with the remaining question. Where do you go from here? Well, before we answer that, let me first show you how ridiculous this whole situation have gotten. Here's the scare report. When hundreds of graduates see the same job listing, many of them still apply anyway. Not because they qualify, but it's because they're desperate. And because of the convenient job searching website like Indeed and LinkedIn nowadays, instead of competing with 20 people like back then, you're now actively competing with at least 100 to 500 different people every single time that you apply for that darn job. This is what 20 people in a room looks like. And this is what 500 people in a room look like. Some have internships, some have referrals, and some had already worked in the same industry. And all of a sudden, what was once supposed to be an entry-level job position now becomes one of the most competitive positions in the company to get into. And that's just simply the reality for a lot of different companies nowadays. Which then brings us to another problem that has made the situation even worse.
Maturing is realizing that the only way to get a job nowadays is to have connections, know people. That's how you get a job.
For decades, college was supposed to solve the same exact problem. You would first go to school, get a degree. You would then use that very same degree to get yourself a good job, and that was the deal. But somewhere along the way, the deal started breaking down. The value of a college degree nowadays have changed significantly compared to back then. Not because all degrees have gone down in value over time, but because nowadays everyone have one. And when everyone have the same qualification, nobody stand out. Which, as a result, employers start looking for something else. And that's exactly where many Gen Z graduates get stuck. And surely it's not their fault. The biggest problem may actually be the application system itself. But enough of the bleak information. We are now in a brighter area due to that reason. Here is the good news. Not every single Gen Z job seeker is struggling. Believe it or not, people are actually getting hired every single day. They're getting hired at the moment. And so, what's the difference between you and them? Did they have perfect grades when they went to school? Did they know somebody in the company? Or, even better yet, did they cure cancer or something? On a side note, I feel like even if you did cure cancer, it would still be decently hard for you to find a job due to the abundance amount of resumes there are whenever you apply to a brand new job. The truth is, most of the people who are able to defy statistics have one thing in common. They stopped relying on their potential and started showing proof. Employers simply do not hire you because of what you might do. Instead, they hire based on evidence. They first look at your projects, your experience, your portfolios, and your results. Anything that proves that you can solve problems. Because the truth is, when they hire you, they're taking a risk of their own too. Which is why, unlike you, they have to be careful. Which is the exact reason why it's taking so long for you to find yourself a job these days. The biggest mistake Gen Z makes isn't having a bad resume. Instead, it's believing that the hiring process still works the same way that it did 10 years ago. The people getting hired nowadays aren't getting hired because they're smarter. Instead, they have just simply adapted to the new rules. Instead of spam sending 500 applications every single week, they are networking, building skills, creating projects, getting internships, creating evidence on their resume why they're good employees in the long term, optimizing and improving their resumes to the best of their ability, improving their interview skills, etc., etc. In summary, Gen Z isn't lazy. Gen Z isn't entitled. Yes, the job market is harder, but it's not impossible. The people who understand and adapt to the new rules will eventually find good opportunities for themselves. And vice versa, the people who are waiting for the old systems to work again might be waiting for a very long time. And with all of that said, what has your job search been like in 2026? Be sure to let us know down in the comment section down below. And also, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you like the video and want more videos just like this one. And lastly, you should watch this next video on why I couldn't find a job in 2026. And with all of that said, I wish you all the very best in your job searching journey. And I'll see you on the next one.